What did you make of that, Tom?
Yeah, look, it was pleasing to get a result. Not that it's all about the result, but I thought the guys worked pretty hard all day, and it was some good signs.
Probably a pretty lacklustre first half, but that third quarter was just outstanding. I suppose the intensity around the ball from the guys.
Yeah, that was probably the most pleasing part. I mean, you look at the first half, Geelong clearly were moving the ball around. They were flicking around with hands, and probably we weren't able to sustain the pressure we wanted on them. And I thought in the third quarter our guys went up a gear and were able to keep that pressure on and force some turnovers, and we were able to then connect a bit and capitalise on it, which was, that's sort of a picture of how we want to play, and that was pleasing.
So was that the pleasing signs, the fact that you struggled earlier and turned the switch sort of at half time?
I think that it's a work in progress, and again, through a practice game, you've got a variety of different guys going on and through. So it's again, it's back to opportunity for guys, and we saw some guys today. We saw a couple of guys play their first game for the footy club. Some guys played some early games in their early games playing, and they were they showed some positive signs. There's stuff there to work on. But from a game style viewpoint, it's always it depends a little bit on who's out there and how it's being played. So. Overall, though, we walk away, having taken a step forward, get ready for round one.
First half, I think Geelong at half time 100 more disposals than Adelaide. Was that a concern?
Oh, well, when opposition's at 100 more disposals, it's always a concern. It was probably more how they were doing it. They were doing it through use of handball. And we felt like we were probably just a bit off in terms of the pressure on them. I thought in the third quarter that was probably the thing which helped. They sort of still wanted to handball, but we were able to close down those receivers better and force the turnovers. And that put more pressure back on the Geelong.
What other things pleased you?
Oh, a number of things pleased me. I thought the performance of some of our younger guys coming in, and they weren't stellar performers, but there was just enough signs to suggest that we've got some talent on the list which has got the potential to play regular AFL footy. So I won't go into the individuals, but we had a number of guys in that case today. And again, some of our senior players and probably if you like our 22 took another step forward in their pre-season, which is ideal in the prep for round one.
How did you rate Jordan Galushi's first game for the club?
I thought he did some really good things, and I spoke to him afterwards. It's always hard when you've got a guy playing his first game. For him just to the experience of it, it's moving pretty fast. He was able to get out there. He got his hands on the ball a few times, and he'll be so much better for the experience of it because he now knows what it's like. It's probably the first time he's played in open company. So, you've got to experience that for the first time. He did it today, and he showed why we drafted him.
I'll tell you, when the game was in the line late, he worked really hard to win some important positions in the last 3 or 4 minutes. Yeah,
well, that was pleasing to see. I mean, the guys were, again, certain guys that had pretty long minutes, and they were out there still working hard at the end, which was pleasing that we found a way in the end just to get a win. It's not that it's important, but it doesn't hurt in terms of building the habits that we're after.
Curly Hampton played midfield all day, had 17 touches, looked pretty good. You also had him run with Joel Selwood for a fair part of the day. What was the reason behind that?
Look, with Curly, it was more the opportunity just to play another game in the midfield. As I said at the end of last week's game, he's probably seen himself as a midfielder. He's played primarily back as an AFL footballer, so he's 2 games in as a midfielder. And look, he's got some, again, positive signs in terms of Curly, and we're happy with how he's progressing, and he's going to get better from here.
How did Big pull up after the knock?
Yeah, so we're just going to have to assess Dean. He looks like he might have some concussion, so we'll monitor him tonight and through the week, and we'll just see how he pulls up from that.
Talk about getting better. Rory Atkins, I know he played every game last year, but he looked like he'd taken another step. What we saw today.
Yeah, he's one guy who's had a really good pre-season. He hasn't missed a beat since he came back. He ran a personal best time when he came back. He's sort of a guy now in his maybe 4th or 5th year at the footy club who has now got a real sense of direction about what he wants to do with his footy, and today was another step forward for him towards round one, which is really what it's all about.
You had him on the wing, but also in the centre-bounce sometimes. You sort of see him as a guy that can play both those roles.
Well, again, we're still exploring from a midfield viewpoint guys who can play in a variety of roles, and he's one guy. Obviously, Rory Laird was in there again a bit today, so we're building in that space. We're mindful that we want to have that flexibility, and we'll continue to do that, and we'll do that next week as we prep for round one.
What's the plan for next week? Geelong said they're going to try and play their best available side.
Yep.
Will that be your plan as well, or?
Well, we'll assess that at match committee. That's generally how you go, though. You roll with a 22, or we've got 24 we can play next week, and we'll try and take in a side as a dress rehearsal almost. But again, we'll still look at it that there's 2 weeks to round one. And if we've got guys, and today we come off a 6-day break, we've got guys out of today who aren't quite right, we won't risk them ahead of round one. We'll prioritise round one ahead of that, but it's important that they get a good hit out, a good full minutes, that we don't ask guys to jump from playing 50 or 60 minutes to playing 90 round one. So we'll look at that in each individual's case and make sure that we get the side right and we get what we want out of the last JLT.
With Curly Hill, were there anything in particular you wanted to pick up from playing alongside Joel Selwood, who's obviously one of the best midfielders in the competition?
Yeah, look, I think with Curly it's just playing in the midfield, and each week he'll get a different challenge in there. He's learning the running patterns, he's learning the stoppage stuff, and that's going to, as I said before, he's had 2 games now in the midfield, and I'd like to think that in 5 games' time we're better again, and 10 games we're better again. So we'll just give him that opportunity, and it's up to him. And today he took a good step forward, which was really pleasing.
It's a bit of a funny free kick against Dean Gore in that first quarter during the boundary throwing under the third man up. Really got hit in the back and it was paid against him while he wasn't looking at the contest. What did you make of that, and is that unfair, do you think?
Yeah, look, that was the one that led to a shot on goal, didn't it, I think? Was that the forward 50 one?
Yeah.
That's one of the real sort of weird ones of that rule, which is the no third man up, is that if the ball hits you as a midfielder and you're around the contest before it hits the ground, it's a free kick against. I'd hate to see, if that led to a goal, I'd hate to see that happen in a big game. To me, it seems like one of those things which is a bit of an anomaly, if you like. He wasn't trying to contest the ball, it was just that the ball hit him after it cleared the ruck contest. So maybe that's something they'll look at.
So the umpires just have to understand that and let that go.
Well, no, the umpire officiated it correctly. I mean, that's the ruling as we've been told, is if the ball hits you on the full, away from the ruck contest, there's going to be a free kick. It just seems to me to be a strange one now, especially if you're not actually contesting the ball or deliberately hitting it. I'll leave that with the umpires, though.
Last one, Hugh Greenwood, what do you make of his game given his first appearance?
Yeah, it was great to give Hugh an opportunity. He played some really good footy for us at the end of last year in the Sandford final series. And he's come from a quite different background. 2 years ago he was running basketball courts, and now he's learning to transition and run and play on a big field. And he's made some really good progress. So it was great to give him an opportunity, and I thought he did some good things today. Some pleasing signs from him.
You could come back next week and talk about Lever. Could Lever be available next week, and who else might?
I haven't got the list in front of me, to be honest, Andrew. But yeah, those guys are a chance, and again, it's a matter of the balance of how many minutes we want to get into certain guys ahead of round one. So we'll assess that during the week and come up with our side for next Saturday.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.